I always freak out that I go into some random Facebook group. Like, who's this? Right, so let's see. Okay. And we are streaming live.
We did it. That was quite smooth, actually.
That was quite smooth. Right, we're just going to fix the screen so we can see. Karen's like, don't get me in, don't get me in. So hello everybody and welcome to tonight's book club, which we've decided to stream into our exclusive members group because so many of you had messaged to say you couldn't make it because of COVID and Easter holidays, but you were really wanting to catch up with Naomi, author of HEFF OFF. Because what a read it was, Naomi.
Pardon?
What a read.
Sorry, say that again.
What a read your book was.
Oh God. Well, apart from the shoddy proofreading job that someone did, but the story, I'm very proud of the story because it's very honest.
Everyone is just too gripped by the story to notice any sort of little grammar errors. Don't worry, everyone's just like too busy finding the next sentence because it's too much.
Right. Okay.
Desperate to know what happened next. So we were delighted to read this book as our March read because the lovely Jade, who's a member of the GGC, had recommended your book to us. So what a recommendation. Cheers. Cheers, Jade.
Thank you, Jade. Thank you. Jade actually won a competition. When the book came out, I said someone can get a free copy, and quite a few people entered, as it were. And I'm going to tell the truth here. It wasn't by random. I purposely picked it.
You're like, she's a cat, Mum. Pick her.
Yeah, I think Jade followed me. I don't know how you found me, but I just thought you were so sweet and lovely. So I just thought, you're going to win the book. So
I know. I love my copy with my signed message.
Yes.
I'll sell it when it's a movie and you're really famous.
Yes, I'm determined for it to be a movie.
Oh my goodness, how good a movie would it be?
Who do you want to play you in the movie?
Well, this is the thing. Cameron Diaz is too old now, so because she's my female love. I think it would be an unknown, and my kind of vision for it is, you get those kind of film for kind of the gritty, kind of like the Danny Boyle, kind of the Train Spotting, that kind of vibe. That's kind of how I envision it, rather than a glossy Hollywood. I think it's quite raw and gritty for a film for.
Yes.
Because I was going to ask if that meant that Leonardo DiCaprio would play David.
Well, David would want Matt Damon.
Yeah.
That was one of the first things I said to him when I met him, that you look like Matt Damon. And I don't even fancy Matt Damon, but again, Leonardo and Matt Damon are too old. I mean, we're in our 20s when we met, so it probably been some unknown, sexy actor.
Yeah, just some unknown sexy person. That's what we like to hear. So I'm going to kind of lead the conversations, but we'll probably just jump in, and then if anyone's watching and they've got any questions that they want to put up in the chat box, they can do.
Yes, please do.
As well. So I guess let's go from the start. So in your first chapter as the honest thief, and you are very honest about the fact that you first stole something when you were 13. Tell us about it.
Well, okay, to be brutally honest, when I was 13, I was very, very, very unhappy. My mum remarried an abusive person, and I've had therapy about this and asked questions about this. For some reason in my chemical brain, I turned to shoplifting. I don't know to this day if it was a cry for help or an escape or something. I don't know, but that's what I turned to. I didn't turn to drinking or drugs or boys. I just turned to shoplifting. But then ironically, when I left home, I was thrown out when I was 16, I didn't do it again until David left me, 2009. So all that time, and now look back in hindsight, I've only kind of gone into it when I'm desperately unhappy. So, and it did spiral out of control. When David left me, it really was. And also I was very, very broke as well. And I've got a lot of pride. I wasn't prepared to ask for money. So I was stealing a lot of smoked salmon, as you know. I lost a horrific amount of weight. And it just spiraled out of control. It really was not good. So I've had therapy. yeah, and so it's under control now. I'm in a better place. No stealing smoked salmon.
And
Yeah.
so then when you started stealing again after you broke up with David, was that like a survival? Was it just because you were so hungry, or was it that need to control?
I don't, do you know what? People have asked me, like, was it the adrenaline rush? Like, did you enjoy not getting caught? That wasn't it for me at all. Every time I did it, I felt worse. It started off when me and David broke up. I literally had no money. I was made this was actually a job where I wasn't fired. I was made redundant in 2009 when there was the big crisis. I was living with some housemates, and I was like, shit, I've got to pay my rent and I have no money. So yeah, I had to steal my food. But then as time went by, I mean, by 2010, 2011, it was really out of control. Like, I was just, yeah, I mean, me and David at this point was just a mess. And it was just, yeah, it was, I'm worried I'm going to get arrested, by the way, telling you this. But I guess there's no evidence. I mean, I always thought if the policeman read my book, I could have just said I've made it up. But yeah, so
creative writing.
It did start off as a survival thing for sure, but then because I was so unhappy, it spiraled.
So let's talk about the night you did meet David. So we'll kind of rewind back to that, because you said that you went to, was at a nightclub, and then as soon as you saw him, the world stopped.
It did. The night we met, yes, December 2nd, 2006. I've got a good memory. It was very bizarre. I was living with a group of guys. They were just friends. We went out, and me and one guy were looking like to pull. So he was looking for girls and I was helping him out. And I was in a queue in Oceana. Do you remember Oceana clubs? I don't know if it's close.
Yeah. No, I've been to one time.
I remember them, like when my friends went out into uni in England, and we all talked about it, but we didn't have it up here.
It was one of those, early noughties type clubs, 2006. I was in a queue standing behind him, and something happened. I just was like, that's who I'm going to marry. So I kind of went hunting for him in the nightclub, and then I saw him. I said, you look like Matt Damon. I asked him his star sign. And then, as you know, Jade, the story of the girl.
Tell everyone, though, because not everyone will know that story.
We'd exchanged numbers at this point. We'd had a kiss, we'd had a dance, bought a drink. And this girl happened to kind of shimmy in and wanted a piece of him. And I just tapped her on the shoulder. I said, for all you know, that could be my husband. And she just literally knocked me out cold. True story.
Shocking, isn't it?
Literally. It wasn't even time for a
Glasgow story.
I know. And then you seen her in Boots, didn't you?
I saw her in Boots, yes.
Again, unlikely.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I'd been living in Bristol, a year? A year. And I'd never seen her. And I'd been to Boots many times. And it was insane that I saw her there. I was like, geez. And I went straight to the security. I was like, see this? And it wasn't that long after it happened. So I still had the bruise. I was like, this is what happened. It was crazy. I remember her face seeing me as well. It was bonkers. It was just, the timing was insane.
Timing is a thing for you. So you and David moved quite quickly when you first got together, didn't you?
Yeah, we had our first date where I still had the face, and we joked about it. And then it was 3 dates in, we moved in together. I just packed my stuff up from the guys I was living with and moved in. It was just, inseparable.
you know. And how long were you with David before you broke up?
About 2 years, just under 2 years, I think. Yeah. And then he ended it with me. Yeah.
And then did you move to London at this point?
We'd been living in London for...
You were living in London already?
Yeah, not that long. And because we didn't know anyone, it had a toll on our relationship, and I was just very, very clearly not in a good place. I wasn't accepting therapy at this point. He couldn't handle it, and I was in a very dark place. So yeah, he broke up with me. But the day that I left, he said to me, I know this isn't the end. So I kind of like held on to that.
You really did, and then we'll pick that up again. So then tell us about getting into comedy.
Yeah, I started the comedy 2008, so October, because I did a course, because writing's always been my passion. So I wanted to do a course where it involved writing and performing at the same time, and that was stand-up comedy. You had to write your own material, and then to pass the course, you had to do a 5-minute set, and it went really well. So I just kind of started doing 5-minute gigs here and there, open mic night, and it just kind of rolled into, eventually I was getting paid to gig in Hungary and America, and I did the Edinburgh Festival, and it just really took off. But writing was always in the back of my head, and I always wanted to write this book. And the irony is, when you get paid to do something you think you're going to love, it isn't fun anymore. But writing, I just knew I was writing for free for years, so I know I should be paid for this. And that was the turning point. That comedy, getting paid, wasn't fun because it got so serious, ironically. And then the writing, I was working for free. I was like, I should be paid for this. So I switched it.
What kind of feedback did you get on your stand-up comedy?
Women heckled me a lot.
Ooh.
Yeah, a lot. One woman once shouted, "They're only laughing because they want to fuck you." Can I swear?
Yes,
of course you can swear.
But I said back, well, at least someone's getting fucked.
Yeah, I think that was a brilliant comeback.
I know.
When I read that in the book, I was like, oh, why did some women do that?
Which is totally what we're against. And that's the whole kind of point of this club that Laura has created is for women, to support women.
Don't get me wrong, I went home and I cried, but at the time, it was horrible. I got a lot of abuse from women. I mean, my gigs, it depended on the audience. I knew after a short amount of time what worked and what didn't. I did a lot of university gigs, so dealing with 18-year-old boys always seemed to work. I could really make them squirm, talk about masturbation and losing their virginity. That for me is kind of, I knew how to kind of poke and make other people laugh, so that worked.
And is that what you wanted to write about and stuff? Was kind of like that sexy squirmy type material, or did you just feel like you had to write that for stand-up comedy?
As long as what I said was the truth, that was important to me. It bugged me when comedians would do that self-deprecation of like, oh, I can't find a girlfriend, yet they were married. That, I don't know, I like the honesty, I like the rawness. The funny thing is that my close friend said, well, why have you never talked about your parents and tragedy? And I did touch on it, like with the poetry about being single, but I never could turn like my childhood into a joke. I could never, I don't know. And I don't regret that I didn't use it as a tool. I couldn't. And I'm still not there yet with dealing with my parents. So that's why, as long as I spoke the truth, but I didn't go so far. And that's why I said to you, Jade, that I regret with my book, I didn't push it hard enough. I didn't open up enough about my parents. And that's one thing I'd change.
Yes. Do you feel that, like, we're kind of getting to the end, but we'll go back to other things that are in the book, but do you feel that when you wrote this book, like maybe writing the book was quite cathartic, and now you feel you could write even more since then?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It was definitely therapy for me. I found it, it was kind of like diary writing almost. The poetry, a lot of it is from my stand-up comedy, so I kind of integrated that. But honestly, now I've had so much therapy since when I wrote it 2016, I would honestly, I almost want to rewrite the whole thing from scratch, because I would, not only is my writing improved as a just the writing quality, but the story would be even more impactful. I would have, I really held back with my parents. I was worried about what my other members of family would think as well, but now I'd be like, fuck it, I'm just going to go for it. So.
Well, from my professional opinion, I think it actually is two different stories, because this one is titled A Memoir of a Chaotic Comedian. So you get the chaos and you get the comedy in this. So actually the next one is just going to be a little bit, so I wouldn't say it as a regret, it is literally just to say But and then kind of going back, so you mentioned that you are very raw, so let's talk about getting fired over 30 times and just like, where do we even begin? Like, so just kind of, how did this journey with working, I guess, in London start, and then just tell us the story of it all?
So I think for me, it was because deep down, I didn't have the self-worth that I knew I had to get paid as a writer. I knew that had to happen at some level. But when me and David broke up, and even before that I was fired, I just was stuck in a rut where I'd get a shitty job for the time being, hated it, hated myself for taking it, and then I'd get fired for, I mean, some of the reasons I've been fired are hilarious. Things I purposely did to get fired, and some of the reasons I got fired, but it was just this rut of, oh, well, I've been fired now. Oh, there's another reception job or another job that I'm going to hate that I'll take. And it just kept going on and on.
Cannot imagine you as a receptionist at some corporate office in Canary Wharf with like grey suits and...
No, in the city in London, you can't have tattoos. And this one woman had to put plasters on my wrist. I said, I look like I've slit my wrists. Like, do you expect me to say hello to clients for this? And I refused. And she was like, well, leave then. I went, okay, bye. Like, I'm not going to have plasters on my wrists. Like, how ridiculous. Like,
I've got a tattoo like on my elbow, which is actually, it's Roman numerals. It's my grandparents' wedding day.
Oh,
and
nice.
I once worked somewhere in Edinburgh where it was roasting, and I had to wear long sleeves or wear tattoos over plasters over my tattoos.
Yeah.
What looks worse?
Yeah, exactly. We were laughing, Naomi, as well before we went on the stream about some of the reasons why you got sacked. For example, the waxing at your desk.
Yes, I was bored.
Tell us about it.
I read the book, tell that story.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I was at that reception job that was the longest job I'd ever had, which was about a year. And yeah, it was just where the office was kind of tucked around the back, so I was on my own at the front. It was bloody boring. They dealt with people's taxes. I mean, I got to meet the you know, the man that bends spoons,
Rudy Geller.
Yeah, I met him. Yay.
What's he got to do with taxis? Actually,
we did the taxes. He was a client. They did his taxes for him, and he'd come in with bent spoons. I was like, I'm really not impressed.
That is hilarious.
But yeah, I got a free waxing strip in a magazine, and I was like, oh, I'd never waxed before. I've always been a razor girl. I was like, let's give it a whirl. And I did it, and I didn't like do it properly. So where I peeled it off, it just kind of congealed. Yeah. Like chewing gum. It didn't like harden and come off. So luckily a woman came round. She saw me with my knickers down. I was like snipping.
Waxing your bikini for anyone that doesn't know. Not a leg.
Yeah. I was like trying to snip it away. She was like, get in my office quickly now. And it was her boss. He was like 80, like this little old man, and he saw an indecent exposure for the reason. So
tell us some other times. You said you had deliberately got fired as well. Tell us at least one example of when you deliberately planned to get fired.
Yes. So one of them was a woman who, oh my God, I mean, I'm a very kind of down to earth, as you can tell, sort of person. So when someone's very overly pretentious and snotty, I knew as soon as I'd got this job, I would hate it. And the night before I started my first shift, she emailed me just saying, dress for the job you want, not for the job you have. So I just turned up in a clown's costume, just like, hi. And she actually said, well, it wasn't actually her who was there, it was like her PA. And she said, you're gonna have to go out and buy like a suit. And I said, no, I refuse. So I left very shortly. I lasted 5 minutes.
I honestly think that's the best I'm trying to
It wasn't, I didn't have the big shoes or anything. I had a wig and the nose. Yeah.
That's so good. Is there any time that you were fired that actually did surprise you?
Yeah, when I did well. No. No, I always knew. I've never been fired from a writing job because I've enjoyed it. So all the other jobs I had, I've been fired from bar jobs, bed and breakfast, hotels, receptionists. I've always knew it was coming. yeah, I always knew.
I mean, I clearly, like, for me reading it, and then I mean, I've reread your book 3 times now since I've got the first one. Like for lockdown, because during lockdown, but then also just to prepare for all of this and to refresh. But I'm kind of seeing it in a different way. Like the more I kind of know you, and then the more I know about the world, and the more I know about myself as well. You're just so creative. Of course, you were never gonna be okay sitting at a receptionist in a corporate office, like clearly.
No.
And at the time, you probably knew that, but you just didn't know how to not.
Yeah, I couldn't get out of it. Yeah, and it was actually my therapist. 2018. It was something. It was like a light bulb moment. He said, "The next office job you get offered, say no." And I'd never thought of that. I was like, "Say no? What? I've got to say." He's like, "No, say no." And it was the heart. And the irony is, I got offered a reception job in a book publishing company. Yeah, but he was like, "You're gonna hate it." And the girl that interviewed me was like half my age. She was like, "So where do you want to be in 5 years?" I was like, "Not here." I didn't say that. But it was so hard for me to say no. It was like the cutoff of breaking that like thing that had been going on for years.
It was the right thing to do though, because if you had sat in that place and seen people with their books getting published, you would have thought, why not me? And that could maybe put you in a bit of a spiral. So it was right.
Yeah, it would have been awful. Yeah.
So did you know that the memoir of a chaotic comedian was always the plan, or did this just sort of come from journaling?
No, it was always a plan. I started writing my memoir at like 4, but I didn't have a lot to say at 4 years old. No, this is true. Honestly, I've got like old diaries, and then I tried it again when I was about 16. I always knew I wanted to write a book, and I very much intend to write more. So I finished my second one during lockdown, but then 2021, complete write-off for me. I went into a very dark place, and I'm like, every day I see this finished product, and I'm like, I've got to get it out there, and it's just, yeah, it will happen.
You've got a big following in Glasgow now, so if anything, we'll all get it. So let's kind of go back to kind of about stealing and stuff. So it started just salmon, but it sort of kept, well, salmon and Vogue. let's put Vogue in there as well. But then it sort of kept going. So how did that path go?
Not good. I mean, I don't want you to think bad of me, but it's kind of like people who, I guess, take drugs. If you start off with something small, you need a bigger fix. And it got to the point where I was in that much of a dark hole, and I wasn't with David, and I had no money. I was just stealing things for the sake of it. I mean, I'm not going to say the brand, just in case, but I stole a bag that even had the alarm still on it. I didn't care, and the alarms went off in the shops. Like, I just didn't care. And then I had to go to I went to a coffee shop, and I said, "Oh, have you got a pair of scissors?" And I cut the alarm off, and it went off again. And it was like the alarm was going off in the middle of Starbucks. So I chucked it in an outside bin, and the bin was going woo, woo, woo. I just kind of ran off, and I kept that bag just as like a reminder of myself of like that dark time. I've kept it, even though I never use it.
Oh, that's quite interesting that you keep it though, to remind you that. So let's go to the story of you pissing yourself in Topshop.
Oh, really?
Touch on that.
Oh God. Just don't get a urinary tract infection. That's all I can say. God, I can't even believe I wrote that in the book. Basically, I was trying on some clothes, and I had an infection, and it was very weird because I don't drink a lot of water as it is. I've got quite a poor diet, really, David would say. But I knew I had an infection because I just kept weeing. And I was trying on some trousers. I was like, I can feel it coming. And honestly, it's like you're a grandma. There's like, you have no bladder control. And I had a little boots bag. Funnily enough, I had probably bought something at this point, and I was like, I held the bag under me, and it split, and it just went. So I used the trousers that I was trying on to like, as I didn't want it to go under the other changing rooms.
Oh God. I mean, I actually feel for you though, just because of stories from whether we have UTIs or post childbirth, or just because the universe is terrible to our bodies anyway. Like, it's kind of everybody's fear or experience where they feel like they've almost experienced it. Like I have almost experienced it without having UTIs or post-childbirth. So I totally
that was just one of those moments you were like, we just all felt for you, or like
I felt really bad because whoever had to clean it up would have got a shock. But I just did a runner. I was a coward. I'm sorry.
My cousin used to work in Primark, and believe me, they found a lot worse than peas. I'm sure they've had worse.
A big poo. Was it
God.
So it's fine. There's always worse out there. Don't worry.
Yes.
So you kind of mentioned the name David quite a few times after your breakup. So you are very honest in your book. You just knew he was your person, and you kind of kept in touch a little bit, and your Facebook stalked. So tell us about kind of breaking up with David, and all this, and you're doing all these different jobs and your comedy career's going, but David is still the forefront of your mind.
Yeah. So it's 4.5, 5 years we've broken up, but for some bizarre reason, he still doesn't give me an answer for this. But every January of each year, he'd come knocking on my door at some, I don't know, epiphany of New Year's Eve or something, but it was every January and my birthday. But as I was saying to you, Jay, before, like I just kept seeing him around in London, and bear in mind, London's got God knows how many millions of people. Yeah. And I've got friends here, and I've never just randomly seen them in the street. But David was on a bus, in a club, in a bar, on the street. It was, something out there was not letting me forget him, and I wouldn't have anyway. But it was hard because friends at the time were saying, well, hang on, he's kind of having his cake and eating it, because he's dipping in your life when he wants to come round, but not getting back with me. And I was like, no, give it time, he's not ready yet. And people, it's weird because people said that they lost respect for me, but it got to the point where I was questioning that. And there was a segment when I actually told him I was moving to Chicago, as my best friend lived there, and I actually was just visiting, and it was just like, yeah, I'm actually getting a bit tired of this. But I just knew we'd get back together. So I just kind of ended up kind of playing the game, really.
Yeah, I loved it when you did that, because I was like, go you, because I thought, do you know what, this will work. And I thought, this is you actually now being like, do you know what, no, this is the time, or it's not the time. And I thought, good for you.
Yeah, definitely. I just needed to kind of do my own thing. And so I went to Chicago, and then lo and behold, as soon as I landed, he'd messaged me and emailed me. And men want what men want, what they can't have. So yeah,
it's like they have a radar as well. How did he know you had just landed? It's like,
I know, and you knew every time he was going to message you. I put it on my phone. I knew he was going to. It's like you've got this crazy connection.
Yeah. And every time I dated someone, he'd contact me. Every time. So I couldn't move on. Yeah.
You've talked quite a lot about dating in your book, which is obviously why I've had you on my podcast as well, though. But some of the poems, like I slept with a German, like literally hilarious, because it's kind of like almost like a stereotype is what we would expect a German lover to be like.
Yeah, very very uptight, I'd say. I'm trying to remember because there were two Germans. There was one up the arsehole German. Is it that one?
That was the one.
Oh right, yeah, that was the more fun one. There was another German as well who was just very serious.
So they're both quite cliche German,
but the up the bumhole German was I couldn't even say his name. His name was Ulf. So I just called him the German. And he knew that as well. And he even wrote in my birthday card from the German. I was like, this is going to work. Like, I can't even say this guy's name.
So you dated a lot, but you and David did get back together. So how long had you been separated when you got back together again?
It was nearly 5 years. Yeah.
That was a long time. You never stopped thinking that he was, stopped knowing?
No, never. No.
Honestly, like it's so romantic, and it is like a movie, and it's like,
Yeah.
and I think it's every woman reading this will totally relate, because we've all had that one guy.
Yeah, of course.
But
the Carrie and Mr. Big.
Yeah,
Yes,
9 times
yeah.
out of 10, myself being an example, and
Yeah.
I waited 7. I waited 7 years, and it didn't happen. I was like, you know what, I'm too old now, I need to move on. But so often it actually doesn't happen, but it's actually just so like lovely to hear
Yeah.
that sometimes it does. So you and David are now married?
Yes, 2019 we got married.
Oh, congratulations.
And that
That's
was
lovely.
the same year your book came out, so big year for you. What has the feedback on your book been?
Amazing. I've had not one negative. I mean, I've had friends, obviously friends be honest and go, yeah, the proofreader was shit. And I was like, I know, like I'm embarrassed by that. And I'm that's why my second book, it's taking a bit longer as well, because I'm not going to use the same publisher. But as far as reviews are concerned, I've checked online, and they're all like, there's people that I've never heard of are writing good reviews. So I'm really chuffed. And I think it's because it's raw and honest. That's why. Yeah.
Yeah, folk love it. So what is next? So you are working as a writer just now.
I am. I'm writing. I'm a copywriter now by trade. So I'm writing people's websites. I'm writing articles. I've got a collection of clients. But as much as I love my job, it's the creativity that I want to. My dream role would be sitting and writing books, like writing more stories, making other people kind of, stuff, when I do stuff about mental health awareness and just anything that's true to me, writing for a website is all well and good, and I'm writing, but it's not bringing out, honesty and truth. And obviously if someone out there could turn my book into a script, so that could then go to film producers to become a film, that would be brilliant.
Or a Netflix series. It'll be out there somewhere. A Channel 4 4-parter or something.
Yes.
It's definitely going to be something now.
Yeah, definitely.
I love it. Is there any comments or anything on the Facebook page?
Oh yes, let me
have a look. See if there's any questions. Do you have any other questions or no? Good.
Just a lot of love. Just a lot of love.
Just a lot of love, yeah.
I think what was really great about your writing as well, Naomi, is like how you did shine a light on mental health awareness, because it was a really authentic, narrative about mental health, and you're really honest about the very dark times as well. And I think it's you're a true testament to how you can learn from it and grow with it, and do the work on yourself, because you really have done your CBT therapy, your psychotherapy, and you've drilled down into it. I think it was a really good thing, because obviously I have experienced a lot of anxiety as well in my life, and I think that reading your story, I could relate to quite a lot of what you were saying. So I think it's great to read such a fun book with such like truth and depth about mental health as well.
Yeah, as I'm saying to the girls before we started, like with my day job, I've done a lot on kind of like language and stigma, and we deal with people with really complex issues. But it's just like, so thinking of that, like there probably was a time in your life when people would just have, without the understanding of mental health, being like, oh, she's just a wild, what you are wild in the best possible way, but it's like, oh, she's just like too out there, like she's unhinged, like just ignore her, like let her be. Whereas actually what you did need was support.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
Other people knowing enough about mental health, so that
definitely.
you're not struggling, they can recognise it in other people and
definitely. It took me years to kind of realise what was going on. It takes a long time. So it really is important that anyone who does read my book or any of my articles on mental health, is that they may not be at that stage yet where they're either accepting it or understanding it or realizing it, and it does take time, and to not put put pressure on yourself, but it's to not feel alone or ashamed or embarrassed. That was, for me, it really did take a long time. So I just really hope that anyone who finds my story can understand that don't put, there's not a time limit when people go, oh, but I need to sort this out by next week, or I need to do that. It's like don't put pressure on yourself, and things will naturally happen and become better. Does that make sense?
You really
absolutely.
are proof that everything
really
just
are.
naturally happens the way it's meant to go. Like, and don't be hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Like where you are now is amazing. And obviously I've followed you on Instagram for a couple of years now, but your home account is amazing, and your fashion, and your, like, there was a time in lockdown you were doing makeup tips, and I was like, not that I'm too lazy to do my makeup like that, but I loved watching it. It was very therapeutic. I love your Instagram, so if anyone's on Instagram, you have to follow Naomi.
So tell us, how can everybody find you and connect with you?
Okay, so I've got a writing page, which is NK Hefter. I don't go on it enough, but I mean, I should. I mean, it's got stuff about my book and things that I write about. I'm wary of showcasing too much of my writing, because I want what I've written to become another book. So that's why I'm not kind of putting too much out there. But there is information about me as a writer. And then just Naomi Hefter is my page of posing and nights out and fashion. And my crazy, me and David do party a lot, I must admit.
And you're still to get your honeymoon, right? Because you got married quite soon before the pandemic.
Yeah, so we were meant to go to Japan April 2020 to see the blossom in Tokyo. But yeah, we've moved it, and we're gonna go probably next year now. Too much going on this year, so next year's the plan. We'll see.
Just stretch out as long as possible. Enjoy your honeymoon period that you knew was always coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it's so good. And anyone listening to this podcast or watching this stream that hasn't read the book yet, you can find it on Amazon. I
think it's still on the Waterstones website. There's another book shop I can't remember what it is now. But if you Google HEFF OFF, there's about like 5 different places you can buy it. Yeah.
We'll post the links underneath this then for anybody to purchase a copy, because it's well worth a read.
It's so, and everybody like read it in 2 days.
Literally 24 hours.
I consciously wanted it to be an easy read. I wanted it to be kind of like a diary style. Yeah.
It was, and it's just like 1 minute it's so funny, and then it's so dark and shocking, but then you're like, lol again. It's so
It's brilliant. And we've only touched on a very few of the funny moments. So yes,
I know there's not enough time to actually talk about all.
But yeah, just read the book.
Read the book, exactly. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thanks for having me.
Love chatting to you. It's been brilliant.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it myself. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad. I hope this is just giving you a wee boost as well to get on.
Yeah, it has. Honestly, thank you, Jade, for like saying everything about the book and me, and I do appreciate it.
Thanks. Podcast all about dating, episode 18 out next week.
Yes,
brilliant. Okay,
I will do. So we go into a little bit more depth about Naomi and David and her dating life. So
I will share that on my LinkedIn.
Fabulous. Okay, great. For anyone watching, I'm going to stop the live stream now. So have a nice night all, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.